Alright, today I'm going to be showing you how to draw this cute little cartoon mouse. When I first drew this mouse, I didn't come up with it all by myself. I found an image on Google. I did a Google search for chibi mouse. Chibi is just a particular style of cartoon or animation, right? There's multiple different styles of animation. A couple that you might be familiar with are manga or kawaii, right? Any animation style is fine. I prefer chibi style, but that's just my preference. Okay, so here we go. We're going to draw this cute little chibi mouse, and anytime I draw anything, I always start by looking at the shapes that I'm going to be drawing, right? So I notice that the mouse's head is like a circle. The body is somewhat like a rectangle. I'll say a rectangle-ish, right? It doesn't go, the sides don't go straight down like a rectangle. The sides kind of come out at an angle, right? It's a little more narrow at the top than it is at the bottom, but it's also a bit of a curved line. Okay, so when I start drawing the mouse, I'm going to start with the circle for the mouse's head. And you'll notice when I'm drawing, I'm not trying to draw a perfect circle all at once, right? I'm using a sketch line or sketching style, right? I'm making lots of little lines, and then I can go back later and erase the lines that are not correct, right? Whenever I draw, I try to just press lightly because I know that I'm going to mess up, right? And I don't worry about messing up. It's part of the process. When I draw, I use my eraser almost as much as I use the pencil, right? So I draw my circle for the head. And once I get that shape looking pretty good, it's not completely perfect, but it's basically a circle. Then I'm going to start drawing the body. Remember I said the body is kind of like a rectangle, but it's also a little wider at the bottom than it is at the top, right? And that's kind of a curved line for the side of the mouse body. Right, and then I go to the other side and I kind of do the same thing. I make a curved line coming out and I let it be a little bit wider at the bottom and more skinny at the top, more narrow at the top, right? Then I'm going to draw the bottom of the mouse's body. Now, as far as what I'm using to draw today, I'm actually using a mechanical pencil. There's nothing wrong with using a mechanical pencil or any number 2 pencil. My first preference, of course, is a nice wooden drawing pencil and white plastic eraser. Those, I think, are the best tools. However, it's okay to use what we have. Okay, so I'm just using a pretty standard mechanical pencil. Okay, so now that I have the head shape and the body shape, then I'm going to start thinking about the shape of the ears. Right, and the ears are somewhat like a circle or a letter C, right? So I kind of sketch that out. It's really, really hard for me to get 2 ears exactly the same. I don't worry about it too much because, well, we just do the best we can, number 1. But also, if I actually had a mouse sitting right here before me, it's entirely possible that he would not be sitting in a perfectly symmetrical way, right? One ear might be turned, one ear might be drooping. It's okay if when you draw, you don't draw everything symmetrical or perfect, right? I actually think it makes it look a little more realistic when the 2 sides are a little bit different. Okay, so I sketch out the shape of the ears. I'm erasing the part that I think I messed up on. I'm fixing things that I maybe did not do correctly the first time. Just cleaning it up a little bit. Okay, this here needs some help, so I'm gonna erase a bit. And if I erase too much, that happens a lot, then I just go back and I sketch in those lines again. Okay, there we go. Now, okay, now I'm gonna start to look at the mouse's legs. And first I'll start with doing the front two legs, or a lot of times we think of these as arms, right? Because the mouse is sitting upright like a person might sit. Right, so I'm going to draw the arms first, and I'd start with just two lines side by side, almost like I'm making a rectangle. And then I go back and add a little curly line for the little fingers or toes, right? So I do two lines side by side, add curly lines for the little fingers. Okay, now when I look at the back feet are not straight up and down, right? They're kind of going out at an angle. Okay, so I'm going to draw one back foot over here and one back foot over here. Again, just starting with two lines side by side. Then I think about the shape of the foot, right? The back part of the foot, or the heel, is probably going to be a little skinnier or a little more narrow. Right, so I just make a curved line, almost like a U. I need to erase a bit more. Okay, then I'm going to add a curly line for the toes. Whoop. And it's okay if where the toes are, it's okay if that part of the foot is a little bit wider than where the heel is. Similar to our feet, right? Our heel is more narrow than where our toes are. Okay, so now I'm going to draw a tail, and the tail of the mouse should be long and skinny. They have very skinny, very long tails. I probably don't want to just make it straight, right? I probably want to make it a bit curved, right? So I make a curved line coming out, and then I curve back the other way. Almost looks like a letter S that I'm drawing. Okay, and then when I get to the end, wherever the end of that tail may be, then I just make a nice pointy tip, and I start drawing another line to make the tail of the mouse. Now, I look at this tail, I am definitely making it too big. The mouse tail is not that big. Right, mouse tail, like I said, is very, very skinny. So I'm going to go back and erase. And this time I'm going to try to keep the second line closer to the tail. So the tail is much, much skinnier. Okay, so now I'm making it come down. Whoops. Okay, there we go. And once I get the tail drawn out like I like it, then I can move back to the face. Okay, and I see a couple of things I want to fix on the head, right? So I'm going to tidy up those lines a bit. So I drew that line again, and I erased what I didn't want. I'm going to draw the line on this side of the head again and erase what I don't want. I also think I'm going to go ahead and erase this line where the head and the body come together. You don't have to do that, but I just think it makes it look a little more finished. Okay, now I'm going to focus on the face. When you do a chibi style drawing. The eyes, I like to do the eyes like this, just a very simple black oval or circle, kind of spread far apart. Some people like to draw very elaborate animation style eyes, and you can do that if you want. I'm going for a little more simple. So first I just tried to make sure the eyes are in the same place. So I just make a little mark or a little circle. That one is not in the right place, so I erase it and I move it in a little bit. Yeah, so I see that that's about the same distance on that side as it is over here. Okay, then I can go back and draw an oval and even shade in that oval. There we go. Okay, and if I need to change the shape, because maybe I didn't get it quite right, I can do that. I can adjust. Right? Whenever I draw, I'm always adjusting and fixing and erasing. Okay, so when I think about the nose of the mouse, his nose is a little bit like a triangle. So I start with the bottom of the triangle, but on the top, I'm not going to make the line straight across. I'm going to make kind of a curved line on top. There we go. Now I could just draw a mouth separate from the nose, just like that. That's a very cute little mouth. Or, since I'm drawing an animal, sometimes I like to draw it a little more realistically. So I start with a line coming down, straight down from the middle of the nose, and then I add a curved line on one side and a curved line on the other side. And of course, if you mess up, it's okay. Just go back and try again. All right, so now I've got a very nice picture of a mouse. I could now go back if I want to and outline with a Sharpie or a Sharpie drawing pen, just to make it a little more finished looking. If you do draw with a Sharpie or a Sharpie drawing pen, make sure you put a scrap piece of paper or cardboard underneath your picture, because when you draw with Sharpie, the ink soaks through the paper, and we don't want to get ink on the table, right? We have to be careful. All right, so let's talk about some other ideas that we could do, right? Now that we know how to draw a mouse, sometimes when I'm drawing, I will actually cut my drawing paper in half, and then I will fold that in half so that I can make a card, right? So using the same steps, but a little bit smaller shapes, because the paper is smaller, I could very easily draw a mouse on my card, right? Sometimes when I'm drawing, I like to go ahead and make some cards. Maybe I want to send one to my friend. Maybe I like to just have some cards on hand. I know that I like to send cards to my grandma, so I can go ahead and make up a card. Not that I'm going to give it to her today, but I'll just save it for the next time that I see her, or I can send it in the mail to her, right? I can make my little mouse on the card. On this card, I outlined the mouse with a Sharpie drawing pen, right? So it has a nice black outline. I also put a little piece of cheese in the mouse's hands. I'm not done with this picture yet. I'm probably not going to outline the cheese, but I am going to color it with colored pencil, right? And again, if you're using a Sharpie or a Sharpie drawing pen, the ink will soak through the paper. So make sure if you're outlining with Sharpie, don't leave the card folded. You actually want to open it up, right? And put a scrap piece of paper behind so you're not getting any ink on your nice table, okay? Here's another card. that I did of a mouse, right? And I'm kind of trying different things on different cards just to see what I like. And again, I'll have several cards ready for the next time I want to send a card to someone. So on this one, I outlined with a Sharpie drawing pen, and then I used colored pencils to color the mouse. I could also use crayons if I don't have colored pencils. Okay, on this next card I'd like to show you, I decided I wanted to make the picture a little more interesting, right? So first I drew a teacup. Then I drew a mouse inside the teacup, right? So now I'm going to go back and add some color to this with some crayons. All right, stay tuned for another drawing video with Miss Fisher. Bye-bye.